Hello, friends. You're on the channel I Want to Know More. And today, I will tell you the most interesting facts about the acclaimed series Squid Game. And so let's begin. Squid Game has become the most popular series in the history of Netflix. In the first month, 111 million viewers watched the Korean drama. The series ranked number 1 on Netflix, displacing the Bridgerton series with 82 million viewers to number 2. The plot follows a group of people trying to make ends meet, and they are invited to a game hosted by an anonymous organization that promises $40 million if they manage to win at children's games. Although it sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme, it comes with a fatal price, and there can only be one winner in the game. Director dong-hyuk has already announced the release of Season 2 of the Squid Game, exploring the backstories of some important characters in the series, including the host, Lee Byung-hoon, the story of Jun-ho, by ha-jun, and the story of the man who calls the game, played by Kong-yu. Here are some interesting facts about the Squid Game series. 1. The series was invented 13 years ago. Director Hwang came up with the concept for what is now a popular series back in 2008. He was in dire financial straits. At the time he was reading Battle Royale manga, and thought he would join such a deadly game to get out of his predicament. Then he started thinking about how it would play out in a Korean context. Then his script was rejected for 10 years by most production houses until Netflix finally bought it in 2019. 2. Was originally supposed to be a feature film. The Squid Game was originally supposed to be just a feature film. But he later decided to turn it into a TV series, feeling that 2 hours wasn't enough to show all the games. He went on to add additional storylines and additional characters, such as Police Inspector Chun-ho, who gets involved in the games. His character was not in the original script. 3. The series was not called The Squid Game. The original title given to the project by director Hwang was Squid Game, Play to Die. When it was bought by Netflix in 2019, it was also tentatively titled Round 6. The name The Squid Game was chosen because director Hwang thought it was the game that best reflected the state of society. 4. The doll from the game is real. The giant doll from the very first episode that appears in the game Red Light, Green Light, or Quieter Ride, Farther Away, is a real doll that once belonged to a museum. They wanted to use a puppet based on a character from Korean textbooks. 5. Sangwoo's character is based on director Hwang's own past. Cho Sang-woo, played by actor Park Hae-soo, was roughly based on Hwang's own past. Sang-woo went to Seoul National University to study business, and then worked for a securities company where he lost all their money. Director Hwang also graduated from Seoul National University and, like the character's mother, he had a grandmother who worked in the market. 6. Originally, Ji-young, no. 240 was supposed to be a guy. One of the most iconic and heartbreaking moments occurs in the 6th episode of the series. We learn more about Ji-young and Se-byok as they bond over their pasts. We can't help but root for the two young girls, and their relationship is impressive. But director Hwang revealed that Ji-young was originally written as a guy. He later changed it in an attempt to explore the connection between the two women, which many believe worked. 7. The walls of the dormitory were easterly. When a group of 456 people gather in a closed dorm-like room, they try to figure out what happens to them. After the initial shock of the first bloody game, players can't help but rack their brains looking for clues as to what the next games will be like. Some manage to get a clue, but what no one, including the audience, realized until the end is that the games that were supposed to be next in the story had been painted on the walls all along. 8. The dormitory was designed as a warehouse. The dormitory, where all the players rested, or at least tried, resembled what Amazon's warehouse probably looked like. It was a deliberate attempt to make the players seem like products rather than people. The bunk beds also looked like shelves. 9. Coffins as gifts. Perhaps the most disturbing detail were the coffins with bows. The dead were placed in these black boxes with pink ribbon, giving them the appearance of gifts. The show's art director confirmed that this was done on purpose. It was done to indicate that the creator of the game considered himself a god who lavished lavish gifts on the participants even after death. 10. The Squid Game was the director's favorite childhood game. Director Hwang said that his favorite childhood game was the Squid Game. He explained, "The Squid Game was a game I played when I was a kid. In the schoolyard and on the streets of the neighborhood. This show tells the story of people who played this game when they were young, only to play it again as adults. I think the Squid Game is one of the most physically intense games to play. It's also one of my favorite games. I also think the Squid Game is an iconic children's game that best reflects the image of modern society." 11. The show predicted the characters' deaths. All of the main characters die as the game progresses. But during the series we see real incidents that hint at how they die in the game. For Ali, who dies after being tricked by Cho Sang-woo, who took all his marbles, it's like him taking money from his boss before running away from work. As for Sebyuk, she gets hit by a shard of glass, but actually dies after Sang-woo slits her throat. In an earlier incident, she threatens the agent who promises to take her mother across the border that if he does not keep his word, she will slit his throat. As for Dok-soo, he escapes from the gang chasing him by jumping off a bridge. In the game, he gets run over by Min-yo when they both fall to their deaths from the glass bridge. 12. Some of the players' numbers were mixed up. These were not the only numbers that got mixed up. As was noticed by the audience, many of the extras had their jacket numbers mixed up as the show went on. The main cast kept their numbers, but the show's creators didn't seem concerned about consistency with the numbers of the other characters. 13. The phone number used in the series was a real phone number. The only difference, however, is that in the series it consists of 8 digits, whereas real numbers in South Korea always consist of 10. When callers dialed this number, their phones automatically added the prefix 010, which turned it into a real number. As a result, its owner was called more than 4,000 times a day. Netflix later announced that the number would be changed. 14. Overalls designed with meaning. The workers' overalls were chosen for their loose design to hide the sex of the workers and create a colony atmosphere. The soldier masks were specifically designed to resemble the face of an ant. 15. The design of the staircases was inspired by Escher's engravings. The labyrinth of stairs the workers walk through resembles the structures in M.C. Escher's illustration Relativity, and the shape and color scheme are from La Morala Roja, an apartment building in Spain designed by Ricardo Bofill. 16. Explaining how to play Dukji. To play the Korean throwing card game Dukji, you usually need several folded sheet squares. After selecting the throwing player, the other players place their Dukji tiles on the table or the ground. The throwing player tries to throw his tile so that it causes the other player's tile to flip over. If he succeeds, he gets a tile for himself. Throwing a Dukji looks simple, but it takes practice to find the angle and force needed to flip the other player's tile. 17. Why 2 colors are repeated in the series. The 2 recurring bright colors in the costumes and scenery are pinkish red and mint green. For example, the guards are dressed in red and the players are dressed in green, and the first episode is called Red Light, Green Light. These colors and their shades are used in Korean school supplies, reinforcing the childlike atmosphere of the game. 18. How Samsung poked fun at Apple in the series. It is well known that Apple likes to have their devices used in TV series and movies, but only supports it if positive characters use their products. In the frontman's, the negative character, Office, an Apple computer is prominently displayed during one scene. Since Squid Game is a South Korean series, the home of Samsung, this can only be seen as teasing. 19. The soundtrack of the series features classical music. The 2 pieces of music played in the series are Haydn's Trumpet Concerto, 3rd part, and Johann Strauss' Blue Danube Waltz. That will be the end of the show. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.